Hi, I'm Jenna Glenn, and I'm the mind behind the Mindful Educator. I titled this video, What a Shame, because of an experience that I had early in my teaching career around the area of anxiety. I've experienced anxiety for as long as I can remember, even since grade school. When I entered the teaching profession, I thought that being prepared would help me manage the anxiety. What I didn't realize was that it would actually exacerbate it. Teaching's a stressful position, and also, anxiety is not something we talk about. And that leads me to the story that led me to really face shame. So Brene Brown, one of my favorite authors, she defines shame as a painful and intense feeling or experience of believing that you're not worthy of love or belonging. I can tell you that when you feel that in a community, a school community, it can be very isolating. Across the course of my 20 plus years in experience in education as a teacher and an educational leader, I see growth, exponential growth, in the number of teachers that I support that are dealing with anxiety. And as a matter of fact, the National Institute on Mental Health and also the Anxiety and Depression Association of America have identified anxiety as one of the most common mental illnesses in the United States. Between 18 and 19% of the population, the whole population, are suffering from some type of anxiety disorder. Now, as we all know, teaching is primarily led by females. In fact, in 2016, we were at 77% of the teaching population being females. It just so happens that anxiety disorders are more common in women than they are in men, or at least as they're reported. That is that 23% of women in America experience an anxiety disorder of some kind. And when you really look at the numbers, you notice things like a third of Americans, that's 1 in every 3 Americans, experience an anxiety disorder or the effects of anxiety at least one time in their life. That's scary numbers. So what is anxiety? Before we get to that, let's talk about my experience with shame. Within my first 5 years of teaching, I was having a lot of trouble with morning anxiety. I decided that there was a teacher, a veteran teacher, who I was going to confide in. I could always count on her for information. Who was doing what was going on in the school. But what I didn't count on was this: those that gossip to you, gossip about you. So anyway, I went on and shared what was happening to me every morning before school. Her response floored me, and to this day, it is something that angers me to the point of action. She just looked at me and said, "What a shame." What a shame. No, anxiety should not be shameful. With the prevalence that it has in our community and in our teaching profession, it's something we should be talking about and addressing as a community. So let's talk about what anxiety is. For those of you that don't experience it, I'm preaching at the choir for those of you that do, but you might not know what's going on. So let's talk about those symptoms. We're talking about things like nervousness, restlessness, and tension, a sense of impending doom, danger, or panic. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing gets more rapid. You can sweat. You can tremble. That's a real hard one when you're in front of a classroom and your hands are shaking and a student says, "Miss G, why are your hands shaking?" I mean, what do you say? There are other symptoms as well that are very life impacting. Anxiety can make you feel weak and tired. It can make it difficult for you to concentrate, or you'll fixate on things that worry you. It can cause difficulty in sleeping, which over time exacerbates the problem. You can also have gastrointestinal issues. The biggest one, though, the hardest one to fight when you are an educator, is the constant urge to flee or avoid anxiety triggers. Well, what if your anxiety triggers are your job? You can't avoid that. Well, I'm here to say that I'm starting to join the national dialogue on teacher mental health, and anxiety is in my crosshairs. So if I have 3 things to say to any of you that are experiencing anxiety, it's this: you are not alone, your voice needs to be heard, and self-care is essential. For those of you that are watching that do not experience anxiety, I encourage you to become the supporters of those that do. Ways to do this include maintaining confidentiality when someone divulges to you. Know the symptoms of anxiety so that you can start the dialogue if the other person is afraid to. And when you do have that dialogue with them, actively listen. You should be talking less and listening more. The big thing though, the biggest thing, is that if you see that it is impacting their life in such a way that it's affecting their job and their effectiveness as a human, as a teacher, suggest professional help. Help destigmatize the treatment of mental health illness. It is actually my belief that all teachers, in fact, all Americans, should receive routine mental health care just like we go to the doctor for checkups and physicals. When I think back to what that teacher said to me, what a shame. I want to turn it back and say, you know what? What a shame on anyone that doesn't actively step up and help our teaching population become stronger and more able to handle anxiety as a community. So, thanks for listening. And check out my blog. I post articles on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's an article. I look forward to seeing you follow me, because as this movement grows, your voice is important.